Hello and welcome to the Friendly Frequencies podcast. I'm coming to you live from Manila. I just got back to the Philippines after some time of being away in Thailand, and I will be here for the next month. So I will be giving you a few videos from the Philippines. And today I want to talk to you about remembering names. And I think this is a topic that every person in the world has struggled with at some point in life and probably is still struggling with. I have taken a poll at not too long ago, a few weeks ago, on my first tour with DNA. I talked about this in one of the days, and I had each person just put up their hand if they've ever said this phrase: "I'm so bad with names," or "I can't remember names easily," something along these lines. Because I myself have said this sentence. I've had this story before, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my process through that and how I overcame that limiting story, because it is just a story. And so my intention with this episode is, if you have struggled with names, or if you're struggling with remembering names, I hope to help you get out of that story, reimagine your life in a sense of redirecting your energy and realizing how important it is to remember people's names. And so again, this isn't for me, this is for you. That's why I come up with these intentions before, is because I always want to make sure that I'm coming here and I'm putting this energy into these episodes so that you can benefit from it, because I'm not here for myself. So why should we care about names? I mean, why does it really matter? Well, I've come to learn that I learned this in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I think probably the one thing I remember from that book is that a person's name is their favorite word in the entire world. So, what does that mean? When somebody uses my name in a sentence, so when they're speaking to me and they say, "Carmen, blah, blah, blah," or "Hey, Carmen, how are you?" versus "Hey, how are you?" Those feel so different to me. So I know how it feels when somebody says my name to me in a sentence. I automatically like them more. I feel more appreciated. I feel like a sense of love from them. And I also feel important. And I feel important. Because Carmen is apparently my favorite word. Actually, my favorite word is transcendent, but synonyms for the same thing. Until about 2 years ago, I used to say this phrase: "I'm so bad with names," all the time. And it was my excuse. It was just my excuse, right? I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's your excuse as well, if that's something that you say. The reality is that, yes, it's not a lie. I was bad with names. And you might be bad with names, but that's because you're not prioritizing being good with names. And I think it just comes down to, we're not really taught the value of learning people's names enough, because the rewards of this are incredible. Just the level of human connection that you can experience is out of this world. And it makes such a difference if you look at one human interaction or two. Sure, you don't really see it, like it doesn't actually make a difference in your interaction that you can see on a physical level usually, but underneath, the connection that you are going to make with other people is so much better if you're able to use their names. They're going to like you more. So again, how to win friends and influence people. Don't you want to win friends and influence people? I mean, even if you're not somebody who's looking to influence big groups of people, that's okay. But chances are you want to make friends. You want to be liked. Like, everybody, as human beings, we want to be liked. I want to be liked. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I want to make friends with people. I want to make people happy. And I want to be liked in order to have powerful connections with people, right? And this is one way of making that happen. And it's almost it's a subconscious way of making it happen. So, okay, we understand that learning someone's name is very important. So now that I've given you my pitch on that, I want to tell you a bit about 2 years ago, or about a year or two ago, I kind of noticed this. This is when I noticed that I've been saying that I'm bad with names. And whose responsibility is that? So I had this little light bulb go off for whatever reason, however that came to be. And I decided to do something about it. Like, I want to remember people's names. I know this is going to help me in personal ways, in business a lot, right? With clients, with potential clients, with people, just with networking. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to work on being better with names. So I did some studying around memory, because of course it's around memory, remembering people's names. So to become better at memory means to become better at names. They go together, and to be good at memory works in so many other ways in life, and these can be interchangeably used. So the tools that I will give you later in the episode about how to be better with names is going to help you with your overall memory in general. So it's 2 birds with 1 stone. So yeah, as soon as I noticed that I was using the excuse of I'm not good at names, I also noticed that everybody around me was saying the same thing. So when somebody would say it to me, I would kind of think like, oh, real original. Like, I would never be offended if someone didn't remember my name. To this day, I'm never offended about that. But I do feel, so what I really noticed was that, and especially when I came to the Philippines, I was giving so much energy and being drained of energy through not remembering people's names. And this is when I decided I need to kick this into high gear, because I was kind of acknowledging that yes, it's my responsibility to learn names and blah blah blah, like I know that's important, but I wasn't really doing much about it. So it wasn't until I got to the Philippines that I started needing to remember lots of names. And you know, I would arrive at a mural job, and I'm working at a resort, and there's 10, 20 staff at this place. And I need to remember everybody's name, of course. I can't just remember some people's names, the people that I talk to more often, and then not everybody else. I mean, I'm still guilty of that. I'm still guilty of paying or trying harder to remember certain people's names, because they're people that I interact with more often than others who are just kind of always in the background and they don't usually talk to me. But in general, I want to remember every person's name. I know that how that feels to them, for me to place importance on them and who they are. So I'll never forget the amount of internal struggle I went through not knowing people's names at this first place that I went and worked at in the Philippines. I didn't remember anybody's name. I think I remembered like 3 names out of maybe 15 staff. And I was so embarrassed about it, and I waited too long, and I didn't ask enough times what people's names were. And I spent every single day trying to put on this facade that I do know their names, but I really didn't. And I was just praying that they wouldn't figure out that I was lying, basically, or that I was just pretending to know their name. And I just remember how much energy went into that, and how much it even kept me awake at night. It was in my dreams. Like, it was driving me crazy that I couldn't remember people's names, and really it was all my fault. It was 100% my responsibility, and I let it go too long, and then I was too embarrassed to do anything about it. So I thought, all right, fuck it, next place that I go to, this is not happening again. So I remember each place that I went in the Philippines to work as an artist. Most places were resorts with staff. I think maybe all places that I worked at. And so I had practice with this every single time I would go somewhere, and I would practice remembering the names. I would still kind of get into this, I was still embarrassed about it. It took me took me about a year at least to really stop caring what people thought about me and just doing what I know I need to do, which is ask until I know. Not just ask until I know, but actually really in the moment when they're telling me their name, to really listen, and to not only listen but to practice what I need to do in order to remember their name better for next time. So I'll give you those practices like after this. But it took me so long to actually get into this consistent listening about what the name is. And I also, it took me until even the last few months actually having the courage to ask people what their names were. Okay, maybe about 6 months ago or something. I finally got the courage to ask people who I had known for maybe 6 months prior to that, because as a tour guide, I'm going to the same places over and over. And so the same suppliers I'm seeing, and a lot of them I didn't know their names, and I was embarrassed, and I knew that I had to ask them. And so this was the really hard part, because I had known them for a long time, and I didn't know a lot of their names, and I had to admit that. And it was very embarrassing and uncomfortable. And yeah, most people are not going to be offended by this, but a few people were. So that's just how it is. And that I'm still glad that I was able to get past that. So yeah, it took me a long time to get the hang of this. It's not easy, but I also kind of was just figuring it out on my own. I didn't really look into how to be better at names. Well, I think I learned through different means, and I was just kind of grabbing information from here and there and just kind of figuring it out. But I didn't have like a episode like this, like here's how you help yourself to remember names. So maybe it'll be a bit faster for you in this process if you're really dedicated from day one, because for me, I was very in and out, wishy-washy, and it took me a long time to really get serious about it. So, but the biggest thing for me was I just could not afford the energy. Like, I really need to be cautious of where my energy is going, because I'm doing a lot of things out here, and I have big vision that I need to put my energy into. I need to make sure that my energy is not being strained and put into a bunch of other things that are not worth my energy, such as addiction and not remembering people's names, things like this. These are probably two things that I've really learned, that if I can eliminate these two energy suckers, I have like my mom says vortex, like a vortex of energy that is now not in those things, and now it's like, okay, what is it going to go into now? I have this energy and it's not being sucked away by something else. So now I can put it into creating my vision, setting goals, doing the steps towards those. So anyways, so that part was exciting to me, and I thought that's worth it. Like, I need to do something about this. And so yeah, so what I was doing was just constantly practicing not caring. Not caring, I should say. Not giving a fuck. I should probably say that instead, because I care about people. I care about everyone. That's why I want to learn their names, is because I care about them. So caring about someone and also not giving a fuck what they think is a beautiful mixture. Because I want to care about everybody around me, and I also don't want to care so much or in the wrong way where I'm going to allow what I think that they're going to think dictate my behaviors and my energy. I'm going to quickly interrupt this video to talk to you about a new company I'm working for called Digital Nomad Adventures. So this is an adventure tour that combines the power of travel with networking and mindset development. So this is for anybody that is a digital nomad who wants to take some time off and network with like-minded people. This is also for people who want to be digital nomads and you're interested in coming and living the life with us in Thailand, or living anywhere in the world and being your own boss. Or if you're just somebody who is interested in personal development and growing your mindset and working on your goals and developing a vision for your life and working towards that vision and working on the skills that it's going to take you to get there. So if any of these areas of life interest you, please give our website a visit. It's digitalnomadadventures.com, and because you know me, you can put the code FRIENDLYFR in there if you would like a discount on the tour. And if I would love to see you there. I am the transformation facilitator on the tours, so if you want to come with me and develop our mindsets together and just create a powerful life for yourself, I hope to see you there. Thank you. So anyways, I'm just going to go in here, make this a quick one. I'm going to give you the tips that I've been practicing over the last year or two around remembering names, and this can be done to be better at memory in general. So if you're studying for something or anything else. So these are just the things that I do. So first, when I'm meeting somebody now, I ask them their name, of course. They tell me their name. One, I listen. I'm not thinking about what my name is to say back to them. I'm not thinking about anything else other than what their name is. And just to make sure, because you don't always realize that you're not listening. You're not purposely not listening. But your mind is just it's self-conscious when you're meeting someone because you know that they're judging you right away. And so you want to make sure you're giving a good impression. And in that is what takes you out of the moment with them. So the first thing is really listen to what their name is, legitimately. And the only way to really know that you did that is to repeat the name back to them. Hello, my name is Carmen. Carmen, nice to meet you. Or Carmen, what a beautiful name. Say their name back to them before you say your own name. And then to take it a step further, I also say it 3 times. Usually I'm saying their name 3 times. So I'm just using my own name. It's the only name that's in my head right now because it's my favorite word, of course. But my name is Carmen. Okay, Carmen, nice to meet you. Carmen, nice to meet you, Carmen. And then to myself, I'll say Carmen. Seems weird saying it with my own name, but so it's like they say their name, you repeat back by asking them. So, oh, Carmen, you said? Yes. Oh, nice to meet you, Carmen. And then, my name is Carmen. and then after that interaction, I'll say to myself silently or out loud if I'm walking away, Carmen. Their name is Carmen. So there you go, 3 times that I'm saying that. And that will lock it in a lot more if you're consistently practicing this. And then if it's a name that you've never heard before, or if it's an accent that is different than your own, it's really good if you could ask them to spell the name. That's what I do, especially, if it's a name like, if I'm in Southeast Asia, which I've been for a long time, especially in places like Thailand or Vietnam, they have names that I've never heard before. Ooh, Cambodia, big time. Especially in Cambodia, actually. This is the hardest place to remember names because their names are very difficult to remember just because I've never heard any of them before. In these kind of other countries, actually, a lot of people have like Western names so that they can tell Western people or like foreigners what their nickname is. But in Cambodia, they didn't have that, and I had such a problem with remembering names. So in that case, I would ask, how do you spell that? Okay, they would spell it out for me. I would say it out back to them to confirm. This, or I would even spell it back out to them and then ask them if that's correct. So it sounds unnatural, I think, the way that I'm explaining it, but it's very normal. The way that I can incorporate that into a conversation is very normal, and I think it just sounds abnormal to me because it's my own name that I'm using. I'm just talking to myself. So the next thing I would recommend is again, this works for all memory things. Highly, highly recommend this for every area of memory. Link an image or a word or somebody's name with this name. Or somebody that you know, I should say, with this name. So if you meet somebody named Emily, think about another Emily that you know. as soon as they tell you that that's their name, right? Chances are you know an Emily. And you can link it with that person, think about that person. Now you've linked these two people. There's a picture in your mind that links these two people together. So this is a very powerful tool, and this one works pretty instantly, actually. This one doesn't even require that much practice. It's very, very, it's successful pretty quickly, in my opinion. And then, yeah, just say it to yourself, like, and it can be something really hilarious, right? It doesn't have to make any sense at all. As long as you can picture something or think of something that links with this, and they don't have to have any correlation with each other. You meet somebody named Jack, think of a Jack Russell dog. If you don't know anybody else named Jack, just as an example. So, okay, and then the third thing I will just suggest to you is to change your context and change your perception of how someone might think about you. So instead of thinking, this goes, I guess this is like the next step, right? Because if you ask somebody their name, you've done all of these tactics, sure, you're still gonna forget it sometimes. And then what I would recommend you to do is that when you forget somebody's name, instead of thinking, I forgot their name, they're going to be offended if I ask them, oh, I've seen them now 3 or 4 times, I've met them and I never clarified their name, it's too late, I can't possibly ask them now, they're going to be offended. So change that context, change that mind frame to that they'll actually be flattered that I care enough to ask them what their name is, even for a second, third, even 4th time. I have asked somebody their name 4 times before. This happened a few times, okay? Because now I'm more shamelessly doing that if I don't remember someone's name, I must ask them. And I don't care how embarrassing it is or how they may think about it, because it really actually, if they get offended, that's on them. It's actually not on me. The only thing that's my responsibility is to remember the name in the first place. And if I'm not successful doing that at first, it's my responsibility to remember the name whenever that happens. And how they react to my process of remembering their name is none of my business, actually. So I think that's such a powerful kind of thing that I want to make sure that is very evident in this conversation, is that this is all about caring what people think about us. And I wish that I could be somebody who doesn't care what people think about me, but that's not really, I don't think that's really possible for anyone. As much as I don't struggle with it a lot, like I can still be very authentically myself. At the same time, like I said in the beginning, I want people to like me. And I admit that I want people to like me, just as a natural human being would. So but here's I don't know if you'd call it a paradox, if that's the right word, but the thing here is I'm worried that people won't like me if I ask them again and again what their name is, when in reality they're not going to like me as much if I'm pretending to know their name but I don't know their name. So what happened for me when I really started practicing these things is, like I said, it took me a long time. It took me a really long time to actually see changes in my life and see the impacts that it's had on my connections. But wow, not just my connections, my confidence. My confidence just goes up and up and up as my ability to remember names gets better. And I didn't notice this. I didn't notice any of the improvements in this area until I moved to Thailand 2 months ago. So I moved to Thailand. I arrived at the resort that I'm living at in Koh Phangan, and I have a whole staff of about 20 people, at least. About 20 people that I need to remember, not including everybody else that I meet around the island. Just staff at Tiki, where I'm living alone. And so of course I was practicing all of these things, and I noticed after about a week how proud I am and how far I've come with remembering names. Actually, I remembered so many people's names the first time they told me. Like, the majority of the people that I met there, I remember their names right away. Because it's compounded, right? I'm noticing that the compound effect, the stacking of small decisions every single day leading to big results, it's just showing up in every area of my life, of your life, of everybody's life. This idea of breaking things down into small bits and accumulating them over time, I'm noticing it showing up in every area, including this. So I've been practicing this every day, I've been practicing this often for the last year, and I'm just seeing the difference. I'm just seeing now that, wow, I'm good at remembering names. What a good feeling that is. How amazing that I can say something like this, because I've spent my whole life saying that I'm bad at remembering names. Well, that's not my story anymore. So again, this also comes back to life is just a compilation of stories that we're telling ourselves. And I have a whole episode on this because I had a whole other breakthrough around this, many breakthroughs around this, but sometimes it really is just a decision. Now, in this case, it wasn't just a decision that now I'm good at names and then I'm all of a sudden good at names. No, that's happened to me before, which is what I talked about on the last episode around my breakthrough around this. It literally was just a decision and everything changed. But for this one requires practice, right? It's my responsibility to be good at names. It's my responsibility to learn to be good at names if that's what I want to prioritize. And I wanted to prioritize it. So again, I'll give you the tips one more time. Say the person's name 3 times if you can. So again, it's, repeat back to them their name to clarify. And then, nice to meet you, so-and-so. And then after the interaction, say again to yourself silently their name 3 times. Or in total, that would be 3 times. And then a bonus. This is if you're meeting somebody who maybe you've never heard this name before, or they have an accent. Then you can ask them to spell the name out for them or for you. That's a bonus thing that you can do. Again, you can repeat it back so that you can have extra. And okay, so that's 1. 2, link their name with an image or with somebody else that you know. So to be able to picture something in your mind, it is exponential how much this affects your memory in a positive way. And then again, say this thing out loud. Say this, if it's not another person that you're thinking of, if it's a image or if it's a thing, say that thing out loud and then picture it while you're picturing this person, right? Or meeting this person. And 3, to change the context of they're going to be offended if I forget their name, to they're going to be flattered that I care enough to ask them a few times what their name is. Change the story. Change the story about the story. It's all about the story, you guys. You have the power to change your story. Whatever the story is you're telling yourself, if it's around names, if it's around anything in life, what you're able to do or what you're good at or what you're not good at, that's a story. And you're enforcing that story by repeating it, and you have 100% responsibility for changing that story if that's something that you want to do. So be excited about it, right? I'm not just trying to call you out and make you feel bad or feel the point of this is what I'm trying to say is the point of this is be excited that, wow, actually I can learn to be good with names. For me, I didn't even think about it prior to this. It's exciting to take responsibility for your life, to realize that you have responsibility, full responsibility for your life and for how you show up and what happens to you, what happens for you. When you realize that you have so much responsibility in your life, it's so exciting because that means that no longer are you a victim. No longer are you letting life happen to you. All of a sudden, everything conspires in your favor. Everything is happening for you. Because you're taking action. You're taking responsibility. you are responsible for cultivating your own happiness. So I'm getting a little bit on another tangent. This is another whole episode on its own. And I'll probably be speaking of it in every episode because, again, taking responsibility and the compound effect are two things that come up in probably every conversation that I have, or everything that I talk about on here. So anyways, that is all I have for you. Best of luck with remembering people's names, and I hope that this will deepen your connections with other people. And let me know what you think. Leave a comment. I'm now doing YouTube videos here, so if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and like and comment and all the things. Oh my gosh, I feel like a YouTuber because I am now. Super exciting. This is my second YouTube video, legitimate video, and I can actually feel that I was a bit more nervous for this one, and I was a bit more not as confident as I am on just podcasts. So this is a new area of life for me. I'm really happy to be on here and that I get to connect with you even deeper. So thank you for listening and for watching me if you're watching, and I love you, and I'll talk to you next week.